things that I really like about a culture that's here in the US that's different from where I originally came from is the culture of maintaining stuff.
Maintaining stuff?
Yes, really the upgrading or finding something that is antique and making it new. Not just letting something that's old go out the window. And when I talk about that, it means somebody may be taking care of an older house that could have been pulled down, refurbishing it and making it anew. An old desk that someone could have just left because it had one broken leg, and they fix it and literally giving it that lift of what it never looked like before and making it totally anew. From where I come from, really,
Which is Kenya.
which is in Kenya. Something will be broken. It will be a slight thing that could actually be fixed, and it will take probably like just 2 minutes to fix it, but nobody will do that, and they'll just let it go to the dogs. And over time, something that could have just been a minor fix becomes a real derelict, and it's thrown out.
And that's surprising for me to hear, because I would have thought just because it's so expensive to let it go that they would keep fixing it, but
Yeah,
they don't.
and that's the thing. It's not fixed, and they still use it in that condition. So at the end of the time, you almost like start thinking, isn't someone seeing that this is kind of like broken, and they could just fix it, and they actually don't, and they use it in that state, and then over time, it is no more, and it is a regression in the community, because now they actually cease to have that which they should have had, and they don't have the money to buy a new one, yet they could have enough money to repair it, and it was not, and now they totally don't have it for me. The other one probably I would say, just the general cleanliness of, like not just going around littering. I know here in the US when I travel around, I see, like there would be a fine for littering, which is there everywhere. Even in Kenya, when I travel along the roads, they, hey, you'll be fined if you litter. But the cultural sense of saying, hey, it is my responsibility not to just throw away garbage out the window. It's not my community, but I don't have to make someone else's community look dirty because it's not my responsibility. Sitting out here taking a picture and posting it on my Facebook or my Instagram or something, and everybody else is looking at the picture and looking at beyond it and saying, wow, that place looks so clean and new. And I'm like, yeah, anywhere you are can be clean and neat as long as you have that culture of keeping you first make your own space clean before you make everybody else's space clean. But if you clean, if you don't mind seeing the trash, you will actually not mind if you see your neighbor throwing out trash, whether it's within your own compound or when you're driving. It doesn't really scare you. But right now, if I see someone throwing out a garbage when I'm driving, I'm like, whoa, he just threw something.
Yeah.
It rings in my mind that he shouldn't. In Kenya, when someone sees you holding trash for a long time, they're like, you're still holding that? Just throw it out the window. Why are you still holding onto that stuff? And now that I've lived in the US for so long, when I see that happening back home, I'm almost like, hey, give it to me. I'll hold it for you and go and dispose of it at the right time and in the right place. But before coming here, I was one of those folks who just throw it out the window.
Because that's what you know.
Because that was what was culturally being done.
We're talking about recycling, right? Some of the big differences. Why do the Western world recycle not only recycle but dispose of garbage in such a great way, such that the streets, the houses, look at this, you can't see a piece of paper, you can't see a piece of plastic. And as soon as you step out of the plane, even with it, people in important places constantly work on walking around people and grabbing garbage from them. Why? In villages, on fences, because we have fences, like shopping bags taken by the wind and
Let's say again why that happened.
so my theory is that that kind of civilization of using the disposables came too quick and unorganized, in the sense that before, in the origin of an African living was you make your own pot out of clay, you made your plates out of strings, reeds. You make your water collection point. It's not a plastic can like all this. It's everything is naturally made.
Yes.
Everything you eat is
biodegradable.
also organic and
biodegradable.
recycled.
Yeah.
I was talking about water was such was probably the thing that you ultimately are like, you've recycled it so many times. You're like, okay, that's it. Like a bucket of water where you take a bath. Even in my times when I was young and we didn't have running water, we had water in the, but you don't have electricity. You warm that water. Is for bathing at night. You know, we used to take turns like, oh, I'm going first, because when you go first, you're gonna use the cleanest, and then somebody comes and use the same water, and then same water, and it might be like, hold on, we're gonna use it to wash the clothes as well, and.
But I want to go back to the Liz's point about refurbishing things and fixing things. I'm surprised to hear you say that, because I see the U.S. as like a disposable culture where something just breaks a little bit and you just throw it out and buy a new one.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like when I go home to Kenya, and this is something that we've talked with Liz quite often, where you find you go visiting somebody and you'll find say the toilet seat, the plastic toilet seat is broken.
yeah,
And it's something that if it was in my house here, I would fix on my own. But there they would have to call a plumber or somebody else to fix something that is so simple to fix. But because it involves calling somebody and they think it's a cost, they let the toilet stay without that toilet seat. So it's just
so they just avoid fixing it.
they just avoid the fixing of things, which so that's one of the differences. Here people do a lot of like do it yourself. There they would call a plumber, an electrician for the most basic tasks. So in their mind it's above us in terms of our skill level.
Interesting.
Let's call somebody.
And it's a mind thing because it's new.
Yeah.
You don't know an uncle who used to be a plumber.
Yeah. So maybe that's kind of like the plastic
It's
things.
like the plastic thing.
This was
I don't know
these
what
modern
to
things were
do.
introduced like out of the blue without a build up, and now we don't know how to fix this.
Yeah,
like even
before I
when-
used to go in a hole in a
Yeah.
out toilet.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a seat. It doesn't. Now you're giving me this. What am I supposed
Like this
to do?
is American stuff, or this is modern stuff. We don't know what to do with it.
Right. Just quickly going back to the garbage one. There aren't enough garbage bins. Like here, every building will have a garbage bin inside and outside, and couple of steps that way. You can go from my home all the way a mile.
Yeah.
You will not see a garbage bin. So what happens to that 5-year-old who just bought a bag of chips? They are not carrying it till they get home, right? So it's about giving, part of the culture, which is supposed to be civilization. And in fact, that's the culture that we shouldn't even have had, because now look at what is happening in the Western world. It's like, let's go natural. Let's not use, let's use wooden. It's biodegradable.
Yeah.
It's going back. So hold on tight, and it's coming right kind of.
When I think of Kenya, I'm looking out at the rural parts of Kenya where even as like the 80s, people used to go shopping with baskets. There was no paper bags.
Reed baskets.
And those reed baskets, when they grew old, had a hole at the bottom. You could actually dispose of it and nature takes it back.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have plastic bags which
Nature will never take back.
take back in 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Right.
So that one thing I love about the Kenyan government is that they completely banned all plastic bags. So you cannot find a plastic bag anywhere in Kenya today. So
That's
at
great.
least in that
You can't
regard,
even come in with
you
it.
can't come in with plastic bags in Kenya
Wow.
today.
Wow.
So they have
that's
alternative
progressive.
biodegradable bags to prevent that menace, because it was everywhere. Landfills were just overflowing with plastic bags.
Yeah.
So at least in that regard, they are doing a pretty good job.
That's a better system because in South Africa, over the years, up until now, they decided you have to buy the plastic bags, thinking that it will change the culture, right?
Yeah,
People.
ours they
Right.
try to protest for a year, but these days everyone is used to their paper bags and they have long, like, sturdier paper bags.
Yeah.
So they don't have that problem anymore where there's too much plastic.
It is a better way to do it because if you don't have the culture of throwing it away, or you don't have the litter bins, you might as well fix it some other way, right?
Some
Like,
other way, yeah.
let's just make them biodegradable. Hey, thank you for watching the entire video. If you like this kind of content, these types of conversations, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Every comment, like, and subscribe helps us grow an audience and helps us bring more of this kind of material to you. So thank you again. See you next time.